Show was one of the four keys to the kingdom when I was there. It talks about preserving the magic and playing your role, and sometimes keeping the magic preserved was hard. So when I was at Disney, there were four keys to the kingdom. Now there's five. One of those keys was show. You had a role to play, and you were to preserve that show at all times, if at all possible. Disney likes to frame a lot of what it does in terms of drama, plays, production, that kind of thing. So you've got your cast members, which are your employees, and they're on stage and off stage. And if you're off stage or backstage, that's where the guests can't see you. The guests are the audience. They're also participants in it. And the whole idea is to make everything imaginary feel real so that you forget the real for a while. It's to help you step out of whatever reality you're from and into a fantasy and enjoy that time away. So thus the big production and all of that. Well, one of the big things was, regardless of what was going on, we were to preserve the show. Sometimes it was simple. One of the most common examples is when you walk into a Disney park, Magic Kingdom, Disneyland. If you look at the castle, there's this wire coming off of the castle. Okay, we all know that this is where whoever is dressed up as Tinkerbell slides down the wire during the fireworks. And now they've got motors and they can go back and forth and other stuff. But that wire is basically Tinkerbell's path during the fireworks. We know that. But you're stepping out of reality. You can't just say, oh yeah, that's the wire that Tinkerbell slides on. Tinkerbell doesn't slide on a wire. She flies. So typical story is somebody asks, well, what's the wire? Oh, that is Prince Charming's ESPN antenna. He really likes his sports. And since ESPN is part of the Disney company, hey, Cinderella hooked him up. That was a pretty common response. Another one that you would hear is Peter Pan wanted to make sure that Tinkerbell didn't get lost during the fireworks with all the booms and explosions, and so he traced a path in the sky for her. Not as good, but it preserves the magic. It gives you a story behind why this wire is there, other than somebody zipping down a zip line. It fits into the story a little bit better. And that was the whole idea with everything that we did. We had to have a story behind it so it would fit in. So, for example, when you are working with the characters, you've always got some goober. That's just a person dressed up in a suit, right? No, that is Mickey. That is Goofy. That is Minnie. Set aside the knowledge that this is a person dressed in a costume. That is that character from the cartoons come to life. It's part of the reason that my sister gives me a really bad time at the parks, because when I'm in the parks, they're the characters. They're not somebody in a costume, and I'm treating them like the character. And she's like, yeah, but hey, reality's out the door. This is fantasy now. We're having fun. Imagination. It's why if somebody asks if there's an air conditioner in their head, my general response was a joking, well, is there one in yours? No? Oh, well, guess what? Not, look, it's a big frame, and no, there's not enough room to put a fan in there because you would hear the fan. We don't go into all that. It's just, no. They've got one like you've got one. You don't, so therefore. It meant that anything that we did, we came up with a story. When we were shooting pictures of the characters, if there was a costume malfunction, say Mickey's bow tie came off or unbuttoned, or somebody squished his foot, because that would happen. Those big feet, sometimes somebody would step on it and it would cave in a little bit. Can't have the boss looking messy. So if you get something like that and you notice it as a photographer or the line attendant, you would come up with a, hey, Mickey, I just got a message from Minnie real quick. She wanted to make sure I took care of you. And so you walk up and you fix, if it was small, you'd fix it. At the same time, you're rattling off this really silly story that Minnie had sent a text message and she was making him a great cheesecake. And you fix the costume. If it was something really bad, hey, Mickey, Minnie's got a phone call in the back for you. You probably want to go answer it really quick. Just see what she wants. step backstage, fix the costume. Same thing if they were going to take a break. Okay, we knew when the characters were taking a break, especially the furs, it was usually switching out for somebody else. But you can't say, hey, they're going to trade out and have somebody else come out dressed as Mickey. No, there's only one Mickey. So, hey, Mickey is going to go call his nephews real quick, or he wants to go check on Pluto, or Minnie's going to go check her cheesecake. Hey, Donald just heard from his nephews. Donald just heard that Uncle Scrooge might actually give him a little money. And, they would then go running off stage, and they would switch out and then come back out. Same character, different performer. Got to preserve the magic. And so we used a lot of creativity in trying to come up with ways to explain the mechanics of what was going on so it would fit within the story. And if we heard a good line from somebody else, man, you bet we would borrow that, steal it, use it over and over again. So I was constantly listening to hear what the other character attendants came up with, the other photographers, the other cast members in the park. All right, do they have a story for what's going on? Because if they do, I want to know. And if it's something good, I'm going to use it. It really became difficult, though, when there was an incident that didn't fit. For example, somebody got hurt. At that point, you kicked into a different gear. Depending upon what happened, if the injury or illness or whatever was anything at all that you could get them off stage and out of sight, absolutely. You did not want anything like that on stage because, ick. So you would try to get them off stage, out of the way, so that way people don't see. It's why if you look and you occasionally see the slips in the parade when somebody in costume falls, they immediately are trying to get them off stage, out of sight, where nobody can see while they get them taken care of. That's what you do, is you try to cover it up, essentially. If it's something that you have to keep them on stage, or there is something that happens on stage that you have to block off an area, you then try to keep the guests away so they can't see. We're going to cordon off an area, and you'll see kind of the wall of cast members that will appear, and we were all trained on this, on how to step up, block off an area. Hey, folks, sorry, this area is closed right now. It'll reopen in just a little bit. You also used euphemisms. So, for example, if somebody got sick, you talked about a protein spill. If somebody had other accidents, we had all sorts of codes for everything. Depending upon where you went, the codes would change just a little bit. And we had various euphemisms that we would use to let cast members know what was going on, but not everybody else. And I don't remember all of them now. And some of them, because they're safety specific, I won't tell. Because if it comes on the radio, we don't want people to know. But yeah, I was constantly trying to preserve that story, that magic, and keep the fantasy real as much as possible so that the real reality didn't intrude upon it and take away from it. It definitely became a challenge. Really, when it came down to it, we were all pretending. We were all making up stories and trying to come up with creative stuff, especially in such a way to make sure that the guests didn't know what was really going on. Sure, some of it was obvious, but as much as we could, we didn't want you to know. And if there were ways that we could hide it, we did. All the better for the production, all the better for the fantasy, all the better for the show. Because, hey, you gotta preserve the show and keep the magic. It was definitely interesting at times. So, did you enjoy this? I'd love to know, were there ways that you saw that they preserved magic and it was really neat to you or really silly? I'd love to hear it. Was there something that you wanted to know about how we did it? I'd love to know too. Please share it in the comments below. Thank you so much to my patrons and my supporters for watching. There's a ton of info in the description. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't too. Thank you so incredibly much for watching. God bless. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions, your ideas. Be sure to share them in the comments below, or you can contact me. There's information in the description that has my email address, fan pages, information about merchandise, and so much more. So be sure to check that out. Don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, and if you haven't already, hit the button right up there to subscribe. And in fact, if you did enjoy this, I've even got another video for you right here. And also about these wonderful people here, those are my YouTube members and my patrons, the ones whose financial support makes this possible. I couldn't do it without them. If you want to know more about that and the perks that come with it, well, be sure to check the description. There's a link right down there. Thank you so incredibly much. God bless.